And sometimes um, what I find too, something that is really kind of seems contrary to what we have been taught as kids, and something that I was taught when I was growing up is that there's a clear distinction between, you say, like happiness and frustration, for instance. There's a clear distinction between um, well, light and darkness or whatever. Wow, that light is really coming through there. Don't let it through. It's too bright. No, that's good. But that's the thing that I find, is so funny is that when you start really opening up in your heart and you really start expressing some really beautiful stuff, it's like some poetry, and you're wishing sh complete strangers like the best day ever, and you just want to go around and hug everybody if you could, not everybody takes to that so much, but you have the feeling in your heart, and you just want to wish everybody the best. And sometimes the funny thing that happens is when you really start opening up like this, sometimes all this like negativity and all this aggression and like fearful energy can really start coming up. And you go, whoa, what's going on here, And based on what we are taught, growing based on what we're like taught when we're growing up and stuff, we think like, oh well, there's darkness and light are two different things, and anger and happiness are two different things, and it's like, well, actually, it's so much more than that. Because a lot of the time, the reason that you're angry is maybe because you're not opening up, or just you're just in an environment where you got to kind of hold back a little bit. You got to tone it down a little bit for the comfort of others. And that's a form of love also, to be conscientious of other people's space, and of other people's um, um, I guess, tendencies, or just the way that they are. But at the same time, if you are being conscientious towards others, you have to extend that to yourself as well. And you really can't just think about others all the time any more than you can just think about yourself all the time. Life naturally it flows from one to the other. And the love that you give yourself is love that then is going to overflow into the love that you give to others. And the love that you give to others is then opening you up to greater love that you can offer to yourself as well. So, it's just such a beautiful thing to just kind of be open to life as it comes. And um, to not be like too worried or concerned, like if some underlying negativity or some underlying, like some stagnant feelings come up, basically. Because sometimes we don't want to open up because, you know, we're afraid of some of the things that might come out. And the only things that are going to come out are going to be the things of life. And, the things that we don't judge and the things that we are okay with expressing, well, they won't cause us any problems. But the things that we do judge and the things that we are kind of, you know, we're just not so comfortable with them, they're going to seem to cause trouble for us. And I say it that way, in the way that they're going to seem to cause us trouble, because they don't actually cause us trouble just in being expressed. It's just, sometimes, a lot of the time when you're trying to express your frustrations, or you're trying to express anger, or you're just trying to express the fact that you're in pain or something, um, sometimes that really can hit home with another person who's maybe they're not so comfortable expressing those things in their own life. And so, sometimes there can be a bit of a backlash, or there can be some resistance that you get from others, and you start to think, well, if I'm going to fit in with my friends and family and just with people in general, I really can't express these things too openly. And it seems to, you seem to fit in for a while, but then after time, for some of us, these feelings come up very strongly. And it's very hard to be around other people because you're constantly kind of feels like you're being pressed into shape, you're being pushed down a little bit. And you really have to um understand that it's like it's easy to get upset with the other people, with other people, because it feels like their presence is oppressive. But it's not so much the case because there's a possibility for openness and understanding, because you can look at, that other person who's feeling that way, they're feeling pressed down. They're feeling a bit oppressed. They're feeling the pressure also. That's why they don't want to openly express these things. So a lot of the time, the reason that we feel the way we do towards ourselves and towards others, um, it's not really the differences that push us apart so much as it is our similarities. Because sometimes the things we see in others, they really remind us of something that we don't want to acknowledge in ourselves. And so that can really hit close to home. But that's something that I've learned is that it's part of self-love is no matter how you feel that your emotions or your energies may be perceived by others, there's always it's always an act of self-love to give yourself space to express those things. And actually, sometimes um, the anger response and the frustration is really just something that it's really just kind of like this old thing blowing through. And the more that you open your heart, the less that this kind of thing has such an overriding influence. And it's kind of funny because the more that we actually hold our energy down and we don't express our anger or we don't express our frustration, or at the very least, we don't allow it to just come to the surface so that it can be observed more impartially, the more that we do that, then actually it comes out much stronger in the end. And so it's really, when you really get down to it, the answer is to be more open.